everybody. This is Alex Marqueschi from Sign Builder Illustrated. I'm here with the gold medalist from our 2023 Top Young Sign Makers competition, Julie Quinones. She was, of course, very busy during the actual ISA show when we were there, so she couldn't make it, but she's been, gracious enough to grant us her time here today from her office in San Antonio. Julie, how's it going today?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Of course. So you are the manufacturing operations manager at Comet Signs, which is, why you actually won the gold medal here in our competition. You were nominated by Michael Harn, who is the chief operating officer at Comet Signs. He just essentially was saying that you are the glue of the operation there at Comet Signs. He said you lead production teams from anything from initial assembly, vinyl printing, vinyl installation, logistics, sign cabinets. Are you essentially making anything that gets produced out of Comet Signs has your touch on it, at least a little bit?
I'd say so, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through what a busy week looks like for you. A week where you're waking up and on Monday you're like, this is going to be a big one.
When we have large sign packages, like one of the ones featured in the article, the Port of Galveston, that takes a lot of coordination from the start of the process to the end of it. So working on meetings to begin the process, exactly looking at artwork, how are we going to build this, planning it out with our scheduling team, and then making sure that through each of our departments we're meeting our dates, because a lot of these have specific dates where we've got to have it installed by that time, right? So we need to stay on track here in the manufacturing floor, especially. And then it carries through to logistics. That's that's the final part in the process there. So a busy week for me. I mean, that's almost every week here. It's a bit hectic, but it's fun. But yeah, that's kind of how it works for us.
Okay, and in terms of logistics, some people don't realize this. You're in Texas, so luckily you don't have to deal with much cold or really much rain, I guess, right? Correct?
Yeah, not too much here in San Antonio, no.
But people forget that when you are, running the logistics and planning for your shop, if you're based in the Northeast or somewhere else where the weather is unpredictable, something like your Port of Galveston installation can be drastically affected by weather. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, has a big impact.
Is that just kind of a roll of the dice? I mean, clearly you can't control the weather. Have you run into any problems where, everything's in place, everything's looking great, and then of course it's just not a great weather day for the installation?
Oh yeah, it's happened probably more times than people realize.
Especially, how do you handle a scenario like
that? Yeah, so I'm trying to think. We've had a couple of instances where we have lane closures for install and whatnot. We have a lot of people there ready to, inspectors, obviously, like I said, lane closures, so all the crew that comes along with that. And then all of a sudden, weather happens, some heavy rain and whatnot. And when that happens, or high winds, that kind of stuff, and the installers are out there trying to install signs 30, 40, 50 feet in the air with that kind of weather, it's just not really doable. It's not possible. So unfortunately, all of that has to get postponed. A lot of money is tied into it. A lot of people are working on it.
Another element of the process that you have to keep tabs on as a manufacturing operations manager.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So if for those watching right now, if you haven't read the article yet, Julie explains that she grew up in a family that had a pretty extreme focus on work ethic, from what I would say. Could you walk the people through your childhood and how you developed your work ethic, just so that if anyone hasn't read the article yet and they're watching, they can get a feel for your beginnings and how you became who you are?
Sure. So I grew up in a small town here in Texas, Poteet, Texas. We grew up on a ranch on 61 acres, and my dad was very big on working on the ranch, taking care of the animals. Before we got to go and have fun or do anything like all of our friends did, we had to take care of our house and our ranch and our animals first. And so, as a kid, not really the funnest thing. You sit there and you
Yeah.
kind of complain about it. But growing up now, I realize that's really what gave me my work ethic and why I am who I am today. So,
Yeah, you started out managing animals, I guess, and now you've moved
yeah,
on to the workplace.
that's right.
Okay, so something interesting that I thought about your career was you started as an HR manager in the professional realm. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so it was a HR manager at a family business in Texas, and then from there you were in signage at, I'm sorry, you were in HR at Comet Signs, and that's how, and you kind of grew into this operations manager role.
Well, I at the small family business, I was over HR, but I pretty much mastered everything that you could do in the office, and so I felt like I wanted to learn more, and wasn't quite sure that operations was my niche, was my thing, until I actually got out onto the production floor there, and that's where I realized, okay, I love this. I love manufacturing. I love the challenges it presents day in and day out. So when I came to Comet, their opening was in HR, so that's how I was able to get in, and then from there I made it known that I really want to move out onto the floor, and so finally got that shot a couple years ago.
Okay, so this is a true example of you really just wanted your foot in the door at Comet Signs.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's the type of advice that a young person needs to hear because say you want to work somewhere, you don't have to enter the company in that dream role that you have. You can get in, prove yourself, and eventually
yes,
work up like you did.
that's right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't realize that were you came in with the idea of growing at Comet. I thought it just kind of happened on its own there. But that's cool to know that you were motivated to grow at the company.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how did you go from being someone skilled in the HR realm to filling out cabinet boxes and using a CNC router and all this stuff? What was that transition like?
It was a lot. There's a lot of moving parts in the sign industry, right? A lot of different departments. So when I entered into the manufacturing side, I was the manufacturing coordinator. And so with that, it was a lot of looking at our schedules. Where are we at with this? PMs reaching out to me asking, what's the status on this project, right? So I really got to learn the ins and outs of our scheduling and how things flow through the manufacturing floor. And so with that, I'm all about hands-on, getting in, learning things for myself. So I'll get in there and I'll learn how to operate a printer. How does it work? How does it work when we send a file to the printer and rip it over? You know, just an example on the print side of it. But that's really how I learned. I don't like to just sit here and kind of go through the motions. I actually like to learn what I'm doing and what I'm managing. So that it was a big learning experience, but it was great.
That's a common theme that, well, at this point, you are the last top young sign maker out of the five that I've been able to interview just because everyone was at the show last week. And I think everyone has said that they think it's important to, you're not too big for any role in a sign shop. And when you start out, we had our winner, Corey, who's a VP now, but, he was sanding box letters when he began in the back of his dad's shop. And so you have you have knowledge of how every process happens, and now you're overseeing it, which is there's no other way to get that information other than to just do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All
Exactly.
right, perfect. Well, Julie, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day here. Can you leave us with just some advice for someone like who may be in your spot where they're capable and they're having success in a certain realm of their professional career, but maybe they want more, maybe they want more hands-on training. What can you recommend to someone who a young person who feels a little lost in the professional world right now?
Stay motivated, stay driven. Understand that things will come to you. It takes time. Nothing happens overnight, right? I think people forget that sometimes. So just know that it will. Just keep working hard, keep showing what you're capable of, and you should be able to get where you want to go by doing that.
All right, that's perfect. That's great advice. Once again, this is Julie Quinones, the manufacturing operations manager at Comet Signs in San Antonio, Texas. You can follow Comet Signs on social media. I just saw you guys posted some great drone footage of an installation at the top of a building that was looking great in Texas.
Yes,
So,
sir.
they're doing great work. Pay attention to Julie and her career from here on, and we appreciate you guys watching. Have a nice day.